Yakima, Washington, here is Joe the Boss Hipp.
Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Star Radio Network. Our motto here, our ingredients, what we go by here, our template is indigenizing the airways. And we're honored to be joined this morning here in our control room in Seattle, where we broadcast the Daybreak Star Radio Network with the Hipp family, Joe and his two daughters here. I'm joined by Sherry, and we're super excited to chat with you guys this morning. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Please introduce yourselves and state your tribal affiliation.
I'm Joe Hipp from the Blackfeet Reservation.
I'm Blackfeet and Quinault. And I'm Vanessa, and I'm Blackfeet and Quinault.
We're heavy with the Blackfeet.
Yeah, we're heavy with the Blackfeet.
Yeah. So please tell us about your organization, the All Nations Foundation. Tell us what you do.
Okay, well, All Nations Foundation, I started that a long time ago when I was boxing, and I'd seen there wasn't a lot of natives out there that fought or anything. So I used to, whenever we did a fight, I would find the nearest reservation and I'd go out there and speak to the young kids, and get them involved and show them that anything that you dream can come true, and I met a lot of people, and then it kind of evolved a little. I lost my granddaughter about 10 years ago to suicide. So my girls started working with the youth and stuff like that, and we started All Nations Foundation Suicide Prevention. And my girls can say a little bit more about that. They kind of run that part of it.
No, Alexandria was a Chief Leschi High School student, and she was also part of the Daffodil Royal Court. So that was some of the reason why her suicide was in the newspaper. Usually they don't always, put it in the news and stuff like that, unfortunately. But because she was a public figure, so a lot of people heard about it all over Washington. And so we started a scholarship in her honor because she wasn't able to pass her crown. So we passed the scholarship in her honor. So now every year we pass a scholarship that's not only sponsored, but donated by Bill Cahill of Beacon Plumbing. He donates every single year to these girls. He's an amazing advocate for he supports us all the time in anything that we do with the suicide awareness and prevention. So we always appreciate him for that. And this year was our 10th year. So it goes by really fast. And since then, we've done numerous conferences. We go to any kind of youth events or, tribal events that, do with mental health or suicide awareness and prevention to kind of share our story and to let people know, like, you're not alone. We've been affected too. And unfortunately, so many people have, and not only in our community, but everyone's community. And so we work really hard to be out there, and we're glad to be here today, so.
Yeah, thank you.
That's kind of, what we're working on is stuff like that. I still go out and I talk to the youth about, goals, things you can do. Right now, we're working hard on making a video for the suicide prevention so we can get into the schools and start talking to these kids. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're trying to raise money for right now. There's a lot of kids out there that suicide is so bad right now, and we're doing anything we can to help these kids. A lot of times these kids just feel alone. Just a pat on the back, I love you, makes a world of difference. And I can't stress that enough, that you got to keep these kids in your lives. A lot of people, a lot of grown-ups, I understand everyone works every day. You want to come home and rest, but you got to take that kid aside and say, you're doing good today. How you doing? See what they're doing. See what's in their life. If they're getting bullied, whatever it is, there's nothing you can't work out. So I think that that's just the biggest part of our life right now is doing that. And I think most of it, I work with kids all the time in boxing, and at first kids are very standish back, and stuff like that. But once they start working with you, they start opening up, and I see the problems at home, so I'm able to help. I have a good friend of mine, Bobby Ramirez, who's get his master's, and he'll come in and talk to these kids, because I can see problems, and we're able to get someone aware that this young kid is having a problem and it needs to be addressed. So
yeah, we did any projects that we do or anything that we always try to involve mental health. So any sports, like when he did have his boxing ring up in Nisqually, we had a lot of guest speakers, and we also had mental health there. We're really big on the mental health these days. So I just wanted to add that to it. That's all.
No, that's great. Actually, I have a question. So
yeah.
I grew up in Oklahoma. It was nearly an epidemic when I was in high school of people killing themselves. So it was terrible. And as one thing I noticed was that kids were told to not talk about it and not and to hide it, because you're not supposed to want to kill yourself, so you shouldn't talk about it. And it was this horrible shame on top of everything else. Do you all share your stories with the kids? I suspect you do.
I think my family's very open. I'm an alcoholic, so I teach my kids about that. Every day we talk. If you have a problem, bring it to us. Doesn't matter what it is, you can talk about it. And we're very open with suicide. The kids have went through all this too with Alex, and they have their own issues with that. So if you don't try to brush it under the rug, which I understand, when I was a young kid, you didn't tell really what your problems were, and then you just deal with it, stuff it down. But not no more. You got to go out and tell. You talk to your family. There's someone there that'll listen, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find a way to open up, that talking.
They're trying to start the conversation, basically. Kids are thinking about it, whether adults are speaking about it or not. So it's all over. It's in jokes, it's in television, it's in cartoons, it's everywhere else except at home. We should be able to, it should be just as common as, are you doing drugs? Are you thinking about suicide? It should be just as common. If everybody's comfortable enough to talk about their kids about drugs, you should talk about your mental health too. And it should be serious, and you should take it serious, even though if kids hear it and may say it jokingly or this or just because their emotions. It doesn't matter. You should always take it serious. It should matter what, And so just starting the conversation and making people more comfortable with it is what we're trying to do.
I mean, Joe, your expertise and what you're known for, what you're respected for, what we look up to, role models like yourself. I mean, I sure do. When we talk about boxing and the in and outs of the sport, recreational, professional, as a hobby, what would be your recommendation? And I know you touched on this earlier, for people that are experiencing daily trauma in their lives, if they want to, try that, they want to try, learning boxing. What would be the initial roadmap for that initial guide to take part in that?
Well, I think right now you can get on any internet and find a boxing club, close to you. I think that helped me out so much when I was a kid, because even now, if I'm frustrated with something, if I go out and hit the heavy bag for a few minutes, man, I'm happy again. It just has a release for my whatever anger is in my life at the time.
So how do people get involved with your organization?
My father through Facebook, of course, Joe Hipp. And we also have a website, allnationsfoundation.com, and also www.joehippmovie.com, where you can kind of check out all of our projects that we have going on.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Honor, pleasure to speak with all three of you.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Hopefully we get to come up there and see you guys in person next time. You know, I
Yes.
know
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That'd
hopefully.
be great.
I love coming up there where you guys are at.